So I was in the middle of studying earlier today for math, and at the time that involved doing some homework problems in a section which I hadn't done any in yet, the one involving Laplace transforms of discontinuous functions, which, if you've taken diffie-q, involves step functions and window functions and all that stuff. I was doing pretty good for a while there. Didn't have a lot of problems. I knew what I was doing. It was just a matter of trying to remember what to do. The why behind it wasn't unknown to me. And then I came across a problem. It was the first one of the section that I had done. So I was looking at my notes from class, and I realized that day when we covered it, which was Monday, my last math class, I only got 2 examples, and they were very similar. And I was looking at it, and I just couldn't make heads or tails of it. I couldn't figure out why he had done something, and the order seemed out of place, and the reasoning behind it didn't seem to make sense. And in my head, I'm thinking maybe he made a mistake. He makes very small algebraic mistakes sometimes, but I don't think he would totally screw up an entire problem. Like I don't think that's probable. Possible, maybe. Probable, I doubt it. And I just couldn't figure it out. And so I Googled it, YouTube, couldn't figure it out. I couldn't use an online calculator. I just didn't know. I just stared at it for probably 45 minutes to an hour. I tried to figure it out. Specifically, I was looking at the answer, or not the answer, but the solution to a previous step, which involved finding the Laplace transform of one side of the equation, the step function side, the right side. I had no idea how we got from that to the actual solution, and I'll throw it up on the screen here. So the first line is the LT of the right side, and the last line is the answer. And I couldn't figure it out, and I racked my brain over it, and I had a bit of a eureka moment, and I was like, well, if all else fails, I feel like this should work. So I wrote the answer in as general form as I could put it. So you can see the AUB plus CUD plus EUF. That was from the given portion, because I wanted to know how we got from, I knew how we got the first line. I wanted to know how we got all of it, beginning to end. So the input was what I was given in the problem, and I also tried to write a general form for what the answer came in. And as soon as I did that, I said, oh, that's really obvious. It's so obvious to me now. And it felt like an important learning moment, and I feel like, at least for me personally, I imagine it's the case for a lot of other people, it's just so easy to get pigeonholed into a topic and doing a certain kind of homework problem or whatever, and it's just so easy to draw yourself in a box without even thinking about it. And you realize that, when in doubt, you can always, not always, but you can oftentimes fall back on the first things about math that you learn, which is arguably one of the most fundamental things, which is that it's reason, it's logic. Things happen for a reason. This step follows from the previous step for a reason. There's no opinion in it. It's not subjective. And so it was just a matter of finding the reason. Obviously, sometimes that's hard, sometimes it's easy, whether or not it's given to you or explained well or whatever. And for me, it wasn't easy, and I had to, dig for it myself, and it was satisfying to find, and it took a lot of frustration and hair pulling to get to that point, but it was good to finally get there. It was nice to remind myself of that. Sometimes I feel like that essence is lost in a lot of math classes, is how, obviously not only how foundational math is, but just what math is in its fundamental level, which some people would argue, pure logic. And sometimes I feel that way. I don't know, just a little food for thought. I hope you found it a little bit interesting. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.